A Point Park runner places big at a recent invitational, men's soccer gains momentum, and college football faces some serious upsets. It's time to come on down to Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Bryn Reese. To kick things off, Point Park men's and women's cross country competed in the 23rd annual Greater Louisville Classic in Louisville, Kentucky last Saturday. The men's team earned their highest team placement of the season, ranking 3rd out of 21 schools in the men's silver 8K race, behind William Carey in Indianapolis. Leading the Pioneers for the 4th consecutive time this year was sophomore Luke McKenna, who finished 5th place with a time of 25 minutes and 58.7 seconds. Although his time doesn't beat his own school record from the previous meet, it ranks in the top 5 8K finishes in school history, and 3 of those belong to McKenna. The second Pioneer to finish was Alban Petschauer, placing 25th, followed by Yannick Windelband in 35th place. Meanwhile, the women's cross-country team had their best outing yet, placing 2nd out of 24 schools in the 5K silver race. The Pioneers earned the runner-up spot with 104 points, right behind Ursuline with 79 points. Cassandra O'Connor continues to break down barriers for the Pioneers, earning a first-place finish and beating out 205 other runners. Her time of 18 minutes and 37 seconds also awarded O'Connor the fastest 5K time out of all MEC runners this weekend. The second finish from the Pioneers came from Allison Placio in 16th place, followed by Lotte Zethoff in 28th place. Both teams return to the Steel City this Saturday to compete in the Carnegie Mellon Invitational at Shenley Park. Stay tuned to watch McKenna and O'Connor continue their dominant seasons. Now in more recent news, the Point Park volleyball team traveled to West Virginia last night to take on the West Liberty Hilltoppers, where the Pioneers suffered their second straight conference loss. The Hilltoppers won 3 consecutive sets to secure the 3-1 win. Now the game started out promising for the Pioneers as Point Park just barely took the set 25-23. Neither team took more than a 2-point lead in set 1, but the Pioneers were able to edge past the Hilltoppers late in the set after 2 attack errors from West Liberty, followed by 2 consecutive kills from Point Park. Now sets 2 and 3 did not go as smoothly for the Pioneers. The Hilltoppers took an early lead in both sets, and they were able to maintain to take leads to enter the 4th set up 2-1. Now entering the 4th and final set, the Pioneers would not return home without a fight. The set had 6 lead changes until the Hilltoppers hit the ground running in their final 7 points. After 18-18 tie, West Liberty pulled ahead to finish the set 25-20 and ultimately win the match. The Pioneers now have a 3-10 record overall and are 2-2 in the Mountain East, putting them at last place in the MEC North Division. Major mishaps were the name of the game for the Pioneers, as Point Park led every error column with 28 attack errors, 9 service errors, and 7 reception errors. But the Pioneers did not go down without a fight, as Julia Folidor led the way for the Pioneers, once again recording a double-double with 16 kills, 13 digs, and 1 service ace. Close behind was senior outside hitter Eden McElhaney with 14 digs, 11 kills, 1 service ace, and 1 block. Setter Elise Wallace racked up an impressive 41 assists to lead the night, putting her at 5th place in the MEC for total assists. Point Park remains on the road as they take on Fairmont State Falcons this Friday in Fairmont, West Virginia. Will the Pioneers turn things around, or will they let their blunders guide them to a 3rd straight loss? Find out right here next week, and go Pioneers! When we come back, more on Point Park sports from this past week. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Making her sideline debut, we have McKenna Smith reporting on Point Park Soccer's recent outings. McKenna?
Thanks, Bren. Point Park's women's soccer has been in full swing the past week, starting with the matchup this past Wednesday where the women won 2-1 against Davis and Elkins. The Pioneers and Senators both in similar situations, each only scoring 4 goals in the season. The game was back and forth until the 34th minute off a set piece just outside the box by Kara Spry, converting a beautiful attempt, giving Point Park the lead. That was Spry's second goal of the season. The Senators did not go away. The women dialed it up in the second half, recording 9 shots on goal, and in the 53rd minute, Riley Gatiro scored her first goal of the season, assisted by Madalena Vesser. Point Park held firm in the back, led by Frederike Rislarsdam, who recorded 5 saves, but in the 78th minute, the game-winning goal was scored for the Pioneers by Paula Soleil, who had just come off the bench for her first goal of the season, assisted off a beautiful cross from Stair Copper. The scoreline of 2-1 gave the Pioneers their first MEC conference win ever. Moving forward to the action this past Sunday, the Pioneers were on the road against Glenville State, who were 3-4-1 on the season. The game ended in a 2-2 draw, but was not short of chances. The first half was dominated by Glenville State, who recorded 10 shots alone in the first half, and 7 corners, while Point Park had 0. Against the run of play, in the 19th minute, Martina Cardamel scored her first goal of the season off yet another set piece right outside the box to break the deadlock. After the half, Glenville State came to play in the 67th minute, starting a goal-scoring run for Sophia Calkins, and only 4 minutes later, Calkins scored again to make the scoreline 2-1. But with only 5 minutes left in the game, Captain Vanessa Vasquez netted her first goal of the season off a cross to save the women some points. Vasquez led the Pioneers with 3 shots on goal. Although the game ended in a hard-fought tie, the Point Park Pioneers have scored in 3 straight games and are beginning to find some sort of form. The Pioneers improved their overall record to 2-4-3 and the conference record to 1-3-1. The women are back in play today away against West Virginia State in yet another MEC conference matchup. On the other side, the men's only action was last Wednesday against the Davis and Elkins Senators in another MEC matchup, which had the Pioneers victorious 2-0. Although the possession, shots, and set pieces would indicate that Davis and Elkins dominated throughout the game, Point Park found offense through breakaways. The deadlock was broken late in the first half in the 42nd minute off a header from Marit Sarfert after a well-placed cross from Alejandro Perez. The Senators looked to respond in the second half, recording 16 shots in the game and 10 corners compared to the Point Park Pioneers, who had 0. But to seal the deal for the Pioneers, Niels Benning converted his 5th goal of the season on a 1v1 against the goalie. Niels Benning led the Pioneers in shots with 3 shots. The win for the Pioneers moved them into 4th place in the division. Hugo Foley led the Senators with 4 shots, but David Ali remained dominant in goal for the Pioneers, resulting in 7 saves and a shutout, earning himself Point Park Male Athlete of the Week. The Pioneers came to play, shutting out their conference foe to win and moved to 5-3-1 on the season and 3-3-1 in conference play. The men are back in action after a week break tonight against West Liberty, who the Pioneers beat earlier in the season, 2-1. Good luck to both teams. Back at you at the desk, Bren.
Thanks, McKenna. I'm joined by Point Park golfers Tharsis Kalinda and Gabby Waite, who just came back from the MEC Championships in Daniels, West Virginia. So you guys, first off, welcome. Welcome to Sideline.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. And to kick things off, so you guys just came back from the championships today. How was it competing in your first ever MEC Championships?
I think it was kind of nerve-wracking. As a freshman, it's kind of different playing in college-level golf, but it was kind of fun. It was hard, but it was fun. So.
Yeah, I already came there, so it was my first time on this golf course.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, and I know you guys just hired a new coach. Max Kaminsky just came in at the end of September. He's new, he's young. How is that working with a new coach? I know this is your first year, but how has that kind of changed your season?
So I was with Coach B1 last year, and so now it changed with Coach Kaminsky. It's great. Yeah.
I like him because he's new and fresh. He was actually on the men's team when it was first popular and they were getting championships and stuff, and he knows a lot about golf and a lot about golf swing, so it's kind of nice to have a coach who's young and fresh and also understands a golf swing, so you feel you're really getting everything out of practice. So.
And I know you guys have been to a few other invitationals this year. What has the preparation kind of been like week to week? You know, like school week in the middle. What's the preparation been like this fall?
We wake up at like 5 in the morning and practice is at like 6:30 in the morning. So we have that every single day. We play like some holes, and then we also hit the range. And then a lot of times if we can, we squeeze in like a practice round before the tournament to prepare and like take notes on the tournament, make sure that we're comfortable. So.
And then Tharsis, how do you kind of juggle the like early mornings with school? Is it?
I have to go to sleep earlier, but it's fine. So I love golf. So.
Awesome. And then to kind of wrap things up, I know MEC play is over now. What is next for you guys? What does the rest of this fall and then the winter look like?
We're not 100% sure yet because Coach hasn't really talked about his plans so far, but he's kind of like hinted at hitting the gym and working on like muscles that involve like the swing to try and make our swing better, like make it go further, and as well as like really doing some swing changes as well in the winter because that's the best time to get better is the off season. So.
And we try to go to inside to play golf because I think the weather would not be very cool to play. So.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate you guys being here with us. And stay tuned for more interviews and updates with Point Park Athletics. Now this weekend, don't miss the Pioneers in action at home and on the road as Point Park Volleyball travels to Fairmont State on Friday. Cross country competes at Carnegie Mellon on Saturday. Women's soccer returns to Highmark on Sunday, while men's soccer are on the road just an hour later. Check out pointparksports.com for updates and tune into games live for free on mountaineast.tv. After the break, more of what's happening in the sports world.
Take them, cue them, open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back. Now we have Ryan Quinn reporting on what happened regionally. Ryan?
Thanks, Bryn. Pitt sports have been on fire this fall season. The Panthers men's soccer team, volleyball team, and now the football team are all nationally ranked. Volleyball and soccer are both the #1 ranked teams in the country, while football they are 22nd after they continued their undefeated run, defeating the University of North Carolina 34-24. All three teams look to continue their hot streak, with soccer and football facing off against the University of California and volleyball taking on SMU. Going on to the Pittsburgh Penguins, they have their regular season home opener against the New York Rangers. Sidney Crosby, Evangeline Malkin, and Chris Letang lead them out for their 19th season together, which adds on to their record of the longest tenured trio in North American sports. The Pens look to improve from last season as they missed the playoffs with a record of 38 wins, 32 losses, 12 overtime losses, and 88 points. The puck drops at 7:30 tonight. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had a crazy Sunday night and Monday morning, which led to them suffering a loss against the Dallas Cowboys 20-17. After a rain delay that lasted for almost 90 minutes, the game finally kicked off and lasted until 1 in the morning. Even with 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery, and a blocked field goal, the offense struggled with only 226 yards. 2 touchdowns were thrown by quarterback Justin Fields and received by tight ends Connor Hayward and Pat Freiermuth. The Steelers look on to bounce back from their 2 losses in a row as they travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. That's all locally. Now I'll be sending things over to our producer, Matt Palangi, for an update on the NFL season. Matt?
Thanks, Ryan. What has happened this NFL season so far was not at anyone's bingo card, but Week 5 has come to an end, and let's see what happened. The passing leader was cemented on this week's first game with Kirk Cousins' primetime win against divisional rival Tampa Bay, with Kirk throwing for 509 yards. Joe Burrow put up 392 yards and 5 touchdowns in their loss to Baltimore. Trevor Lawrence got the Jaguars their first win on his birthday with 371 yards. Colts Joe Flacco threw for 359 in that game, and Cowboys Dak Prescott with 352 yards on his Sunday Night Football victory. The ground game was on the weaker side, with Tyrone Tracy coming in for Devin Singletary for the Giants, going for 129 yards. Rams Kyron Williams 102 in his loss. Kareem Hunt is back on the Chiefs and went for 102 yards in his return on Monday Night Football. Jaguars Tank Bigsby is fighting for his running back 1 role and took over for 101 yards, and Panthers Chuba Hubbard got 97. Throw me a dot and I'll be in the top spot. Jamar Chase got a massive workload and took it for 193 yards paired with 2 touchdowns. Drake London went for 154 on Thursday Night Football for Atlanta. Niners Brandon Ayuk is back, and he went for 147 yards in the team's loss. Colts Alec Pierce caught only 3 balls but took it for 134 yards, and Steelers legend Juju Smith-Schuster went for 130 yards on Monday night. Sunday featured the longest day of action in NFL history with a 9 a.m. start time and a 1 a.m. end time Eastern. Starting with the Vikings advancing to 5-0 with their win over the Jets in London. With recent news of the Jets firing head coach Robert Saleh after another 2-3 start and putting up the same amount of points through 5 weeks as they did last year with Zach Wilson. The first AFC North matchup of this season was a shootout between the Bengals and the Ravens, going to overtime, after a missed hold and kick from Evan McPherson resulted in a long run from King Derrick Henry into an easy game-winning field goal from Justin Tucker for a Ravens win 41-38. With the Steelers' eventual loss allowing the Ravens to take first in the AFC North. The last game of the night was covered by Ryan Quinn, with Dallas beating Pittsburgh 20-17 at 1 a.m. on a last-second touchdown from Dak Prescott to Jalen Tolbert. The Cowboys were without Brandon Cooks and elite edge rushers Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. The now 5-0 Kansas City Chiefs, led by superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes, beat Derek Carr and the Saints. Derek Carr got hurt late in this game with an injury that will keep him out for multiple weeks potentially. Now, here is a look at the current shocking playoff picture if the season ended today. I will be pitching things over to Edmi Idalis for an update on the MLB playoffs. Edmi?
Thanks, Matt. The Major League Baseball postseason is now in full swing. Last week during the Wild Card Series, there were 2 huge upsets from division champions Houston Astros and Milwaukee Brewers, both making a quick exit from the playoffs. The Houston Astros were swept after a tough matchup against the Detroit Tigers, the first game with the score of 3-1 and Game 2 with the score of 5-2. The Baltimore Orioles and Atlanta Braves faced a similar fate in their own matchups as both were swept by Kansas City Royals and San Diego Padres respectively. The last team to get eliminated were the Milwaukee Brewers as they went up against the New York Mets. They split the first 2 games of the series, with the Mets edging out the Brewers, scoring all their runs in the 9th inning, resulting in a 4-2 win in the final game. Coming out of the Wild Card Series and into the Division Series is the Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Royals, San Diego Padres, and New York Mets. The divisional series began Saturday, October 5th, with American League matchups being the Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals versus the New York Yankees. For the National League, the matchups are the New York Mets versus the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. The divisional series will be a best-of-5 format. As of Wednesday morning, October 9th, the series between the Tigers and Guardians is tied 1-1. The Guardians won the first game, shutting out the Tigers 7-0. The Tigers come back with their own shutout in the second game with the score of 3-0. For the Mets and Phillies, the Mets lead the series 2-1. They split their first 2 games, and the Mets came back with a win in the third game with the score of 7-2. The series between the Royals and Yankees is tied 1-1. The Yankees won the first game at 6-5, and the Royals came back with their own win at 4-2. As for the Padres and Dodgers, the Padres lead the series 2-1. The Dodgers won the first game with a score of 7-5, leaving the Padres to win the second and third game with the scores of 10-2 and 6-5. What happened in the college football last weekend? Ryan Thiele has an update for you all. Ryan?
Thanks, Edmi. This weekend in college football was packed with 7 upsets that stirred up the rankings and left fans buzzing about what's to come. We don't have time to talk about all 7, but here are some of the biggest. One of the most eye-opening upsets occurred when Vanderbilt stunned #1 Alabama, a program coming off of a big win against Georgia. Vanderbilt scored 40 points against Alabama, something they haven't done in nearly a century, leading to questions about the Crimson Tide's defense, which has struggled to perform in recent weeks. This crushing loss dropped the Crimson Tide to the number 7 spot. Another surprising result came from ranked 25th Texas A&M dominant win over number 9 Missouri. Once considered a college football playoff contender, Missouri saw their hopes dash after being blown out 41-10. This defeat, especially after a close call with Vanderbilt previous week, has significant issues with Missouri's overall performance. This loss dropped them 12 spots in the ranking, as they are now ranked 21st in the nation. The Texas A&M jumped from the 25th spot to the 15th. Staying in the SEC, Arkansas's upset number 4 Tennessee, showcasing the Razorbacks' defensive strength, which overwhelmed Tennessee's offense. This loss dropped the Volunteers 4 spots as they are now moved to the 8th spot in the nation. Final noteworthy upset came from the Big House, as number 10 Michigan lost to Washington in a national championship rematch. The Washington defense held a struggling Michigan offense, secured an upset with a big fourth quarter. Michigan dropped 14 spots. They are now 24th in the nation. The AP voters faced a challenging task this week as they reshuffled the top 25 ranking, introducing 2 new teams while dropping 3. USC previously ranked 11th, Louisville at 22, and UNLV at the 25th spot. All had fallen out of the rankings. The 2 new additions came from SMU taking the 25th, and the University of Pittsburgh, who will move up to the 22nd spot in the latest AP poll. The NHL season is back, and Angelo Esposito is in the studio to tell us what happened. Angelo?
Thanks, Ryan. The 2024-2025 NHL regular season is here. It has felt like a really long break, even though it has only been 3.5 months since the Florida Panthers lifted Lord Stanley. The defending champs are coming into the season still as a powerhouse team in the Eastern Conference. Even though their defense group got weaker with the loss of Brandon Montour and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, look out for Gustav Forsling after he took a big step last year in helping the Panthers win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Panthers are going to be on the hunt to try and become back-to-back Stanley Cup champions this season. With the Arizona Coyotes franchise being classified officially as deactivated, the players and coaches a part of the former team are excited to play in their new home of Salt Lake City, Utah. The team did add key defense players to their team in Mikhail Sergachev, John Marino, and Ian Cole, but also naming their superstar winger Clayton Keller as their first captain in franchise history. The inaugural season of the new franchise is going to be the headline of the NHL season, and to see if their captain, Clayton Keller, can lead Utah to the playoffs in their first season in the league. One thing that the team needs to do is figure out a name for the franchise, because right now they're just called Utah. That's all from me and the rest of us. Back to you, Bryn.
Thanks, everyone. When we come back, we break down the MLB playoffs and discuss who's going all the way. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the MLB playoffs have been quite the roller coaster so far, but who's got what it takes to go all the way? I'm here with Matt Palangi, Ryan Thiele, and Angelo Esposito to discuss who we think is going all the way. So, we're going to start with Matt. What's on your mind?
So, I was more confident in the Guardians than I was before they went down 2-1, but I'm going to say the Padres. I stuck with the Padres-Guardians before the series even started. The Dodgers love to choke, and it's coming up again. If Ohtani was pitching, it might make a little bit of a different story. Buehler's coming off an injury right now, so I don't really trust the Dodgers that much. And that Padres lineup is looking filthy right now. Machado, Bogarts, Profar, Tatis. I think they're going to beat a team that goes all the way, but no bias. If the Guardians beat the Tigers, they're going to win the World Series this year. I'm marking it down here. But I'm going to go with the Padres.
Brian?
I'm gonna have to go with the New York Mets. I know.
okay.
I know what everyone says. I know the Mets are the Mets, but the Mets have been a hot team the past month, going from regular season into the postseason. They are in top 20 in almost every stat category in the last 30 days, and then in the playoffs, they're in the top 5 for almost every single stat. I mean, they're a hot team, and I get it. The Phillies ain't playing the way they should play, but I think the Mets have what it takes to go all the way this year.
Angela?
I gotta agree with Matt about the Padres. I mean, their lineup up and down from Machado to Tatis to Jackson Merrill to Cronenworth to Bogarts, their whole batting order is just straight up stacked. And their starting pitcher is actually, I think their starting pitching's a bit underrated compared to the other teams in the MLB. And their bullpen, especially Tanner Scott, seeing him yesterday pitch, very underrated.
You can go from Michael King. They went from Yu Darvish to Michael King in back-to-back games. Like, that is a disgusting starting rotation. Let me get to you on the Mets real quick, okay? First of all, I don't even know if they're even winning today right now. I'm pretty sure they were losing when I checked as time of filming. It's game 3.
No, they were winning.
They're winning.
They're
Lindor
big.
Grand Slam.
Oh, I know. Okay. Oh yeah. Lindor to Grand Slam.
4-1.
So they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win because the Phillies like to choke as well. That's another team. They have to get through the Padres, who we both said. So we're all picking NL teams here. So we're like all kind of near the same path. But let's talk about our AL teams real quick. Like, let's break down the AL because we've already kind of gone off the NL. We all agree that there's gonna be an NL winner. But I say the Guardians are gonna win the AL if they beat the Tigers.
I don't think they're getting past the Tigers.
I mean,
I really don't.
I
I think
say
they're starting Squibble next game, and I do not think. I think Game 3 was crucial, and the fact that they didn't win Game 3, I think they are done for.
It was, but I disagree.
I don't think either the Tigers or the Guardians. I gotta go with the Kansas City Royals. I mean, I gotta say, sorry, but their lineup, especially Bobby Witt Jr., I think he's definitely carrying the Royals, and I think he's going to carry the Royals into potentially the World Series in the end.
Witt is so inconsistent, though. When he's quiet, and he comes back for a hit here and there, but I really don't think that. I think the Royals are lucky
The
right
Royals
now.
are like
They're lucky.
the Royals are like the definition of I wouldn't have made the playoffs if I didn't have the White Sox in my division. They would have missed it. But here's the thing.
Let me stop. Wait. Why don't we stop you there? You guys are missing one of the biggest team out of the AL.
No, we're not.
The
No,
New
we're
York
not.
Yankees.
No, we're not.
predicting that.
The Yankees are going to do it this year.
I
They're
refuse to
going
pick that
to
one.
match with the New York Mets.
No.
What can you not say? Aaron Judge is going to heat up in the playoffs. Juan Soto's going to keep on heating up in the playoffs. That lineup, and I get it, Rizzo isn't playing right now. And I get it, he's hurt. But once Rizzo, if he's able to get back in that lineup's going to be very deadly come playoffs when you can play him in a full 7 series. And I feel like we're going to get a Subway Series, World Series, which I know the city of New York would love, and I would love too.
Personally, I don't know how you can say you love that. No one likes the Yankees, and no one's picking them to win just for that reason. I'll be honest, they're a great team. They're phenomenal. They have the best player in the AL right now, one of the best players in the MLB. They have one of the best lineups from start to finish. The Yankees also like to choke. They're the Dodgers of the AL right now. And to be honest, although I think whoever wins the Tigers-Guardians division is literally making the World Series. I'm promising you that. I'm so confident in it. I'm so rocking with the Guardians, but if they lose, I think the Tigers will take it. My problem with the Yankees is they always choke. That's one thing. First of all, and second of all, I hate them, so I'm not picking them to win. If you want my honest opinion. But again, that's just a team that chokes all the time. If you're not picking the Dodgers, you can't pick the Yankees. Like, the Dodgers have a better roster from top to finish. Why would you say the Yankees, but now you're gonna not say the Dodgers though?
Because I don't like I get the rotation with Dodgers is good, but if this would be a whole different story if Ohtani was pitching.
I agree.
And I think that should be a main factor why they're not they're not doing so well in the playoffs, because you need a pitcher like Ohtani to come in and play. And I think I know I shouldn't trust the Yankees rotation, but I do trust the rotation in the bullpen of the Yankees. I think Garrett Cole is going to come into Garrett Cole form. I think we'll be just fine in the playoffs as a Yankee. And I think the Mets, honestly, again, I shouldn't trust the Mets, and put a lot of trust in New York, which I typically don't like to do. I think the New York teams this year has what it takes to take that next step up and go into the series.
All right, let's talk about if we have a Padres-Mets series, how do we think that's going to go? How quickly?
Padres are going to win, but I think it's going to go to 6.
I got the Mets in 7.
I do think the Padres are going to win. Also, the Mets are also going to have Grimace on their side.
Great,
Grimace.
Yeah.
But I think the Padres are either going to win in 6 or 7.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.